you guys did a great job executing this one. So I think that's
Yeah.
but it's got to be thoughtful. If you just randomly send a bunch of shit out, well, then you're going to get a shit result.
Kirby, I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. From a monster on his slab, he began to rise. Just suddenly, to my surprise, he was listening to episode number 121 of the Promo UPFront Podcast. That's right, Kirby. I'm one of your hosts, Bill Petrie. With me, as always, my good friend, let's call him the captain of the Kit Kat, the tank commander of the Twix, the head honcho of Halloween himself, the one and only Kirby Hassman. Kirby, how the Halloween are you?
I'm doing great, this is a fun time of year. The days start to get shorter, so that does not bring me joy. But I'm working to like lean into that, like so that I'm not like, kind of looking against what's coming. And I know it's coming. As I said to somebody this morning, I'm like, I'm going to have to deal with fall and winter the rest of my life. So I might as well get better at it. So that's what I'm focused on today, buddy. How about you?
Yeah, no, I get it. This is my favorite time of year, or one of them. I love fall and spring. I just love the changing of the seasons like that. And I like the dramatic part of it, in terms of leaves falling and things like that. I feel like it's rebirth, regeneration, things like that. But, it got me to thinking. I mean, Kirby, we're at the end of October.
Yes.
Do you realize there's only 5,200,000 seconds left in the year? Or let's call it 38 working days. Okay, there's about 38 working days left in the year once this drops.
Wow.
What does this mean? Yeah, what does this mean, Kirby? It means it's crazy, but it also means now is the time to get with your clients about those fourth quarter apparel and holiday gift needs. Our friends at PXP Solutions want to help any way they can. And as their public service announcement today on this Promo UPFront Podcast, they want to remind you that the earlier you plan, the less likely you'll be able to run into supply chain issues. I think we all know that intuitively, but maybe this is the impetus for someone to get moving on that. Educate your clients that production time may take longer than normal. Planning and buying early will go a long way into reducing your stress during the holiday season. I think we all have enough stress as it is. The last thing you need to do is add more. And Kirby, I know you agree with all of those three public service announcements.
Yeah, they're great public service announcements. I was actually talking at Promotions East with a group, and I said, it's funny, I think that our clients do intellectually know that supply chain challenges and labor challenges still exist. And so when you talk to them about it, they say, yeah, but can I get t-shirts by next Friday? It's like, they don't understand it until it specifically affects them. So I think it's one of those things that we have to beat that hammer to death for their own benefit. So we have to say it over and over and over again. So we've been starting to set arbitrary deadlines. You have to get your, especially apparel. And so PXP is exactly right on about that for sure.
Yeah, they are. And you're 100% right, Kirby. The good folks at PXP Solutions are ready to work with you to help you reduce your stress by helping you plan ahead for your apparel decorating needs. They will even provide a rendering or creative design to help you close that opportunity. So call Bruce Jolis. He's the owner over there at PXP. Really tremendous guy. Yeah, call him. He wants you to call him. Things get done sometimes faster when you pick up the phone, guys. 214-380-1883. Or you can email, if that's what you prefer to do, at bruce@pxpsolutions.com. All right, Kirby, I want to thank you for having the courage to podcast with me. I love that you're wearing pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I do notice those little things.
You do.
But I believe you have the upfront section of the podcast this morning. So why don't you regale us with what topic you'd like to chat about?
No, I appreciate it. So, both you and I know that our good pals at Hirsch have rebranded. And so there's a big talk about that. They did I thought a really cool launch. And, I know you did some cool social media takes about it. You did kudos on the playlists, by the way. I also pay attention to things like that. That was fun. Those were fun. And we saw some amazing content from some from both, suppliers, distributors, and of course service providers, including our pal David Schultz. His was amazing. And then I did a video just talking about the lessons that I felt like were out there. So number one, I wanted to just say kudos. I thought that Hirsch did the influencer playlist, playbook, I guess I would call it, to a T. I thought their launch was really cool. I thought it created FOMO, it created buzz in the industry. And so but here's my question, and I hopefully I don't get myself into trouble on this. There have been more and more folks who are doing the influencer playbook, some well, some not as well. And I think it makes a ton of sense, but are we starting to see it too much? I think that you could make the argument, I'm not, but you could make the argument that when every other week or every other thing we start seeing hey, here's a new product from this supplier and this supplier and this, are we starting to see it in the industry too much? Is it being overplayed or not? Or is it just like everything else, it's about execution? What do you say?
I say yes. I think potentially so before I answer, full transparency, Hirsch hired me to help them with their rebrand. So they hired Brandivate. I've been working with them for the last 4 months on this, and I designed the influencer campaign that was executed, a good portion of it anyway. So credit or blame, here you go. I do think
obviously I would give you credit. It was super well done. Well, I feel that way.
Thank you. I think potentially we are seeing too much of it, but I think more to your point is as long as it's executed properly, I don't think it's too much. When we were getting, when Brittany Fraze and Amanda Delaney and I were getting together, and I was sharing my concept of what the launch would look like. How do we tell the industry about this? It was a purposeful 2-day influencer campaign over a weekend. It was wondering what was going on at Hirsch on a Friday, and it was, it's Hirsch is rebranded, and then I came up with the tagline of "Same New Hirsch," because they're still the same great company. They still have the same amazing products, the same fabulous people. They're just known as Hirsch now, and it made all the sense in the world to the entire team. And so I hope it went well. I mean, that's obviously for people like you and other people to judge, and I appreciate everybody who participated. And more than anything, I appreciate the great team at Hirsch because they were instrumental in doing everything. But I think as long as those influencer campaigns are purposeful, targeted, specific, I think we're okay. It's when they're haphazard. It's when maybe they are too large, too big, and too cumbersome. I think that can be, and I've done influencer campaigns that I think have been great, and I have done influencer campaigns that I would do differently if I could go back in time. And so, it's always, too much of a good thing is always too much. So I think it's just making sure you're executing with that purpose, that intent. And I think we really hit that with the Hirsch launch.
Yeah, I agree. I think you guys nailed it. And again, obviously I did a whole video talking about, I think, the lessons that I took away from it, that hopefully our folks who follow my content will get. A couple of thoughts, something that you just said. You said that you need to be, purposeful, targeted, intentional. Like you said several things. I think it was very interesting because I was like, so just like merch, just like a great branded merch campaign in any, any industry, any whatever, when the superpower of branded merchandise is when it's thoughtful, when it's targeted, and when it's, really thoughtful about the people who are going to get it. And then you combine the influencer piece and do it the same way. If you take, this many, it might be amazing writing instruments from our pals at Shapenko. But if you just throw a bunch of stuff and give it to everybody and, throw a bunch of crap at the wall, well, then you're going to come up with something that you say, well, that didn't work. Well, no, basketball isn't broke. You just can't shoot the basketball.
Right.
I think that and that was sort of my take away from it too, is I am really enjoying seeing influencer campaigns across industries when they are executed properly. You guys did a great job executing this one. So I think that's but it's got to be thoughtful. If you just randomly send a bunch of shit out, well, then you're going to get a shit result. And so this was super well done.
Well, thank you. Hirsch deserves a credit. I was just a part of it, just trying to orchestrate it, making sure all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and helping everybody stay on track, because, you have a specific deadline you have to meet. So kudos to everybody at Hirsch. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. All right, Kirby.
Awesome.
They are awesome. I got to amp up the podcast a little bit. I really
time.
do. Hey, distributors, I have a question for you. What's that, Bill? Well, thank you for asking. Is your marketing working? If you can't answer that question with an immediate yes, then you need to reach out to our good pals over at Promo Pulse. That's right. They can help you consistently amplify your sales through stunningly beautiful outbound marketing that's so easy you can customize it, set it, forget it, all in 5 minutes. There's weird hand motions going there for those of you watching us. But that's right, 5 minutes. So learn more at promopulse.io/amp. All right, Kirby. I kind of hit a critical mass yesterday with something, and I want to talk about this. So, and then I want your thoughts, but I'm going to kind of go on a rant here.
Okay.
And then I'd like your thoughts. Adidas, I'm sure you dropped, or sure you saw, dropped Ye, the artist formerly known as Kanye West, after some anti-Semitic remarks. So Adidas joins Vogue, The Gap, athletes like Aaron Donald, who've left Kanye's sports management agency. CAA, Creative Artists of America, have dropped him as a client. So Adidas is going to take, in the fourth quarter alone, about a $250 million hit due to losing sales from the Yeezy brand, which was very, very popular. It was kind of a sub-brand of Adidas, but designed, I think, by Kanye West. And I want to give my thoughts on the brand cutting ties, because I've seen a couple different things about it. I've heard a few people saying, oh, this is just woke or cancel culture and all that. And I got to be honest with you, it pisses me off. It pisses me off in a big, bad way. It was hate speech. It was absolutely 100% hate speech. And Adidas, in my mind, was right. They did the absolute right thing. The absolute right thing. And so if you think this is woke, if you think this is cancel culture, then I've got news for you. You are part of the problem. Okay? Is it woke to realize maybe you can change your opinions and maybe evolve as a person or a company? If that's woke, then fine. I'm woke. Because what Kanye said, the anti-Semitic remarks, were absolutely dreadful. They were hurtful. They were intentional. He doubled down on them. It was unbelievable. So people wrap themselves in like free speech. Well, he's got the right to say it. You're absolutely right. He has the right to say it. But just because you have the right to free speech does not absolve you from potential consequences of said free speech. You can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater without getting arrested, period. Yeah, it's free speech. So Kanye can say whatever bullshit hate he wants to against Jewish people. And I've never understood why everybody's so anti-Jewish anyway. I've never understood it. It pisses me off. I just got done watching a great documentary, which I'd recommend anybody watch, a Ken Burns documentary called America and the Holocaust. It was a 6-hour-long thing. And it was fascinating and troubling and upsetting, but so wonderfully done. So it's really time for brands and individuals stand up and be counted for something. Sitting here and being like, well, it's free speech and he's allowed to say what he wants. Yeah, but then there's going to be consequences like losing a lot of money and being looked at in a very negative light. So by trying to be, when we sit here and try to be Switzerland, and so many people try to do that, right?
Yeah.
So many people try to be Switzerland, or so many companies try to be Switzerland. Hey, not our problem. When we do that, when you try to be everything to everyone, which to me is kind of like what that means, you end up being nothing to no one. This is Bill Petrie, and I approve my own message. Kirby, what say you about all this?
Yeah, to me, this is, I'm really glad you brought it up. I actually thought about it as a topic, and I was like, well, and the reason I didn't bring it up, because I didn't think to do as well thought a rant as you did, is because I'm just like, well, this is a no shit moment, right? Like, and a couple things. Number one, the only mistake I think Adidas made is they took too damn long. This
Absolutely.
is absurd. You don't say things like this. God damn it. We are in 2022. Be better. If you believe that this is woke culture, like I don't really understand even what that movement sort of means. But what I would say to you is it's intellectually lazy. It's like whenever somebody is saying, look, we need to relook at this. Oh, you're being woke. I certainly have been labeled that when I did the video about changing the name of White Woman Street. People came at me and I'm like, hate to tell you guys, but I'm a Republican, right? Like, so I just felt like it was the right thing to do. It's intellectually lazy because then they don't have to give it thought. So the idea that, somehow Adidas is being weak by doing this is the opposite of true. Obviously, anytime you stand to lose $250 million in the fourth quarter alone, that's a difficult decision, which is probably why it took them as long as it did to make the decision. But this is a no-brainer. You can't. Hate speech is hate speech, and it doesn't matter the ethnicity, the gender, the whatever. If you do this, I think you're an asshole. And so I'm totally down with everybody cutting ties with anyone who says something like this. This isn't a political piece. Like he said things that were deplorable. The end. And if you think differently, turn off this podcast and go someplace else. I'm out.
Right. No, 100%. And you know, the word woke, it's become this hot button word. And I'm not the same person at 52. I'll be 53 next month than I was at 47. I'm a different person. I have different thoughts. I have different beliefs. And I can look at my own history and I've, said horrible things to people and about people, but I'm not that person anymore. And I'm allowed to evolve. But when you label someone as woke, you're saying you can't evolve. And I just reject that on principle. And so, it took Adidas too long to do it, 100%. But they did it. So I'm not going to penalize them for doing the right thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Just because it took a little longer. And I agree with you. So I just thought it was a very interesting thing for a brand to finally take a proactive stand. It wasn't a groundswell of people telling Adidas to do this. Now, I think in another week, we would have gotten there. But it was before that groundswell happened, Adidas said, enough, pull the plug. And I'm sure there was a brand discussion there. Hey, this is harming our overall brand. So we're going to lose $250 million in the fourth quarter, but it's killing our overall brand. So you got to get in front of those things. And I think it's kind of one of the dangerous things about having, someone like a Kanye, who quite honestly, I don't know him, but he seems to be mentally ill, to be honest with you. He seems off the rails. The guy probably needs help. So I'm not going to sit here and castigate him, but that doesn't mean you have to be responsible for what you say and what you do. And mental illness or not, I don't care. What you said was horrible. So, and Adidas did the right thing. All right, Kirby, anything else, or do we need to move on?
No, so I'm good. I got another topic for you if you're
got it. Let's go. Let's topic it up, Kirby.
Okay. So the overall sort of thesis of this is, when is the right time to start a new goal or project? So it's funny, getting ready to, as you sort of alluded to, I'm heading out of town here in a little bit, and I'm going to band together to Raleigh to meet with the folks down there that if you don't know, Band Together is an organization that raises money for nonprofits in the Raleigh area. They do a big concert. And so some folks in the industry, you have done it many times in the past, where they've gone and volunteered and got everything ready. So we're going to go do that. I bring it up to say that I went back because I'm setting up my out of office. You always are good about doing super creative out of office messages, and it's sort of inspired me to up my out of office game. And so, and the other thing you do a lot of times is you'll put like music videos or whatever in there. Well, so this time I was like, well, I'm going to be out of this. And I did a video last year. Okay. And go into the event. So I'm going to go grab that video and put that in my out of office and say, hey, if you want to learn more about it, you can see it here. I'm watching the video and I was like, oh my God, I looked fat. I actually talked to my wife and I was like, oh man. And what it occurred to me was probably a couple weeks after that trip, I actually got on the scale. I never do that. And got on the scale and was like, oh man, I'm as heavy as I've ever been. And about a week or two before Thanksgiving, I started a sort of a fitness thing, and I called it Operation Get Less Fat. And so I'm about 10, 12 pounds less than I was at that time, which is, a decent amount.
That's
right?
Significant. Yeah.
But everybody, when I said, hey, I'm going to start this, was like, this is a terrible time to start a diet because you've got the holidays and Thanksgiving and this and that. But I'm like, yeah, but if I don't start, I'm not starting till after Expo. If I wait till the perfect time. So
there is no perfect time.
It's a long setup, long story to say, when's the right time to start a goal or a project? Do you set the table, or is it just like, hey, I'm excited about doing this, so I'm going to do it?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think if it's a goal that's going to be something that's over long term, it's going to take time to realize the results, like a weight loss program or something like that. But categorically, the best time to start a goal is now, right? Or, or what does Seth Godin say? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
Right.
So I think the sooner the better. I think, when we all hit those seminal moments. I'm a little heavy right now, at least in my mind. I feel heavier than I've been. So I'm doing something. I'm not going to broadcast it. Doesn't matter, but I'm doing things for me. And I don't know if I'll, probably not the best time to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Right.
So I think the best time to do any sort of goal, if it's not started immediately, it's at least plot it out and set a time or day that you are going to start it and stick to it.
Set the deadline.
So I could see like someone like in middle November, like, whatever, says, okay, I need to lose some weight. I'm going to start the week after Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving. And then from that until Christmas, I think that's fine too. But I think the key is you have to set specific, you have to be very specific. So now is very specific, right?
Yeah.
Doing it now.
Yeah. Love that.
But if you're not going to do it now, when is it? And either put it in your calendar and then hold yourself accountable to it. I mean, because if you don't do that, it's not going to happen. Goals just don't happen by accident.
Right.
Things don't get achieved because the universe decides so.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know this about me, I'm a ready, fire, aim guy. And so, it may or may not have been the best time to start. And I actually and I think part of it for me at the time was I was going to give myself grace, that it's like, I'm just going to start being more intentional about working out. And during regular times, I'm going to, like most goals, weight goals, it's fairly simple. It's about execution, right? It's like ingest fewer calories, work out more. The end.
Right. And so really, it's more about ingesting the fewer calories.
Yeah,
because if you just ingest fewer calories, yeah.
So, and I think, by the way, those goals translate to content or marketing or sales too, right?
Absolutely.
But I think that for me, it's really easy to start tomorrow. It's really easy to start next Monday. And I think what got me thinking in that particular moment was, I was like, okay, well, Thanksgiving's coming up, but then right after that, it'll be like all the holiday parties. And then it's Christmas, and you want to eat on Christmas. And then it's like New Year's, and then it's Expo. And now, so I said, well, if I don't start in the middle of November, then I can't start until the middle of January. Correct. And so what I sort of said at the time was like, well, look, let me just drop a couple pounds. If I can not gain weight through that gauntlet, then I'll be doing well. And I think that, so for me, whenever I'm excited about a goal, the idea of starting it, once I put it on paper, I like the idea of setting a deadline, but now is generally the right time for me.
Now is generally the right time. And so whether it is marketing or sales or whatever, write it down and execute against it.
Yeah.
People, I think, sometimes look at goals and it's like, it's just such a big thing. Where do you want to be, and work backwards? It's not, it can be daunting, but if you say, okay, this is where I want to be and this is when I want to be there, work backwards. It's really that easy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
But what can you do every day, that you can control?
Yeah.
Right. Like, because I think, and not to go too far off the wagon here, but there's a great book called 4 Disciplines of Execution. And they talk about lead goals and lag goals, lead measures and lag goals. Lag goals is the 10 pounds, right?
Yep.
But once you're there, you can't affect it. The lead measure is the thing you can do every day that you have total control over. So for that, it's, eat this many calories,
Changing habits. That's when it's changing habits.
But make 10 sales calls a day, right? It's
absolutely
those things you can control. So anyway.
Absolutely. All right. Do we want to do a quick one, or do we want to go right into gambling for good?
Let's do gambling for good.
All right. So Kirby took it on the chin last week.
Yeah.
He went 3-3, so his win total is 28. I went 5-1, and
Nice.
so I am now at 29. I am one ahead of Kirby. So
we've got
sir. Some great. You know what? I'll probably crap the bed this week. All right, we've got some great things this week. So this week, for the college games, we're going to call them the Battle of the Disappointments. At least one of each team in each game, if not both, has been disappointments so far this season. So,
All
right, Kirby, the first game is Oklahoma at Iowa State.
And just to say it out loud, they're the Battle of the Disappointments, and it explains why I know nothing about any of the teams we're about to.
Me too. This was purposeful.
Yeah. Okay. So,
I
guess the one thing I do know about this is Oklahoma, from what I've seen, has been pretty bad in a bunch of different games, and it's at Iowa State. So I'm going Iowa State.
All right. I looking at this matchup, both teams big disappointments, but I think Oklahoma, the team's really kind of quit on the coach a little bit, on Brent Venables. So I'm going to have to go with Iowa State. I'm going to have to go with Iowa State. All right. All right, Kirby. Next one. What do you got? Who's our next one, Kirby?
Arkansas at Auburn is what I have written down here.
Yeah, two SEC foes. Both, again, super disappointing. And I think, unfortunately, Auburn's really quit on the coach, Brian Harsin there. Okay. I think they've really just kind of mailed it in. I think they're done. So I am going to go with Arkansas.
Okay, cool. And you're probably right. But I don't have any clue about either one of these teams. So we're playing at Auburn. I'm going Auburn.
Okay. All right. So that leads us to the biggest disappointment of the year, kids. That'd be the Texas A&M Aggies, my Texas A&M Aggies, hosting the number 15th ranked Ole Miss Rebels in College Station. Kirby, who do you got?
So I don't know a ton about either one of these teams, but I do know that Ole Miss is not Texas A&M, so I'm going with Ole Miss.
Yeah, so it's been a rough go for Jimbo Fisher this year, getting that number one recruiting class, and hasn't really worked out all that well. So, looking at the team, I do follow Texas A&M very closely. I think they've completely quit on Jimbo Fisher. So I am also going with, no, I'm not going to go with Ole Miss. We're going to go with Texas A&M.
I was going to say.
We've got to go with Texas A&M at home, backs against the wall. Gig 'em, Aggies. Woo!
Okay. All right. I would have been stunned. All
right. So now for the pros, Kirby. These we're calling games of the forgotten. Yeah. These are teams most people have given up on just because they've got a slow start. All right, Kirby. So we're going to start with Washington Commanders at the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay. So yeah, the battle of the backup quarterbacks, except that Sam Ehlinger is now the starting quarterback.
Correct.
Carson Wentz is no longer playing Washington, and I actually think it's addition by subtraction that I think the Commanders are going to be better with Heineke.
All right. Colts, they brought in Matt Ryan as their big hot free agent quarterback, and he has not played well. He's been benched for Sam Ehlinger, as you mentioned. I honestly, looking at the Colts, I haven't watched a lot of Colts football, but on the red zone, every time I've seen them, it looks like a team that's completely quit on their coach. I've got to go with Washington here. The Commanders win that game. All right, we've got the Las Vegas Roulette Wheels versus the New Orleans Paddle Boats.
Okay,
who do you got?
Yeah, I think this is just a question for me of quarterback, right? Carr, I trust Carr more than I trust Winston, and so I'm going Vegas.
Okay, yeah, I do not watch a lot of New Orleans paddle boat football. I have seen some of the Raiders; they seem pretty good, to be honest with you. And honestly, I think Dennis Allen's really lost the team in New Orleans. I think they've kind of given up as a team. So I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Roulette Wheels here. Last one, Kirby. Who is it?
So we got Tennessee at Houston.
The Battle of the Oilers.
Yeah, that's right. Right. And so for me, I'm all about, I think that the Tennessee team plays a little bit like Mike Vrabel. Like they aren't a little flashy, but they're tough and happy to punch you in the face. So I'm going Tennessee on this one.
All right, Kirby. I am also going to take Tennessee, mainly because it seems like the Houston Texans have quit on Lovie Smith. But you know who'll never quit on you, Kirby? That'd be our good pals over at PXP. In fact, they're so excited. It's the end of the year. They're ready to help you kind of get those apparel orders in quickly so that you don't have the stress you normally have during the fourth quarter. So they want to remind you, the earlier you plan, the less likely you're going to be to run into supply chain issues.
Yeah.
Educate your clients that production time may take a little bit longer than normal, and planning and buying early will go a long way to reducing stress this holiday season. So you want to learn more? Of course you do, because they're here to help you out at PXP Solutions. They're even going to provide a rendering or creative design to help you close your deals. Call Bruce Jolish at 214-380-1883. Tremendous guy, owner there, and just leads a tremendous team. Or you can email him at bruce@pxpsolutions.com, and you won't be sorry you did. Now, Kirby, I want to thank you again for having the courage to do this podcast. I'm going to have to get used to your camera, because every time you move, it moves, and it's kind of giving me the bends, I think. So
I do like the new camera.